Good afternoon. I think everyone's in I guess, the afternoon time zones at this point. I'm so excited to be at the CVB Summit, virtual summit, and I've been asked to present a case study on futurist thinking. Next slide. So, why would they select a person like me? I guess to explain what futurist looks like as it relates to commercial vehicles. My background is a very diverse one, but 25 years in the auto industry. I had the unique opportunity to work directly for Mr. Red McCombs at a young age. I ran his dealerships or helped lead his dealerships for many years, mainly in the online space. You guys know Mr. McCombs. He just passed recently at 95 years young. And he was a big proponent of using what he called, use the internet to get my market share back, because he had actually purchased quite a few sports teams, four actually, three NBA teams and one NFL team. And at the end of the day, he wanted to use the market share to get, instead of buying another dealership, he wanted to use the internet to get that market share. So we did quite a bit of creative things online, both with consumers, but more importantly with businesses, which led me to become a avid venture capitalist. So I did a lot of direct investments for the McCombs family. Some companies you may recognize that have been acquired in the space by Cox Automotive or Dealer Track in the past. Some became public companies. Some actually operate only outside of the United States. So co-founded a company called FM Capital. It's actually a venture capital firm that only takes limited partners or investors, from the space. And today, I actually am a venture partner with Autotech Ventures, which is also an investor in work truck solutions, where I'm a board member. Most importantly about my background, I'm going to give you guys an actual case study of what I went through personally over the last 4 years at a company called Repairify. I'm going to give you the whole background of how we had to navigate through COVID and how we're doing 10 times better than we ever did going into it, and what we're doing to continue to think futurish ourselves. Next slide, please. Here's the history of Repairify. So, believe it or not, Repairify was a bankrupt entity in 2015, and it had one brand name, and the company was called Aztec. Aztec, really, you think about, some kind of like futurist thinking right there was, if you took a vehicle into a body shop with the electronic components it had today without an Aztec, you would basically, if you were a, a body shop that represented maybe a Ford store or a Toyota store, and let's say an insurance carrier brought you a Mercedes Benz or BMW, you would usually have to send that vehicle on a flatbed or drive it down the street to your neighborly BMW or Mercedes dealer until Aztec came along. We basically became the Geek Squad equivalent to the collision industry. We basically plug in a pass-through modem into the vehicle, likely through the OBD2 port or Cat5 connection. And we basically have technicians all over the world that remote into vehicles in collision shops. And we help those repairs fix the vehicle and bring it back to its OEM, specified repair levels. We do that in 20,000 body shops a day, globally today. Well, you're saying, well, that's kind of futurish and that's actually kind of innovative. Well, if you can imagine what COVID did to us in Q1 was a nightmare. You notice in that little chart there that's kind of hard to see, miles traveled dropped through the floor. If you're sheltering in place, you weren't driving anywhere. Well, if cars don't drive around, they don't hit each other. That's a big problem for a business that depends almost 99% of its revenue comes from the collision space. So what we had to do during 2020 is really think about, if pandemics or other shelter in place or miles traveled events happened, what can we do to diversify our business in order to live another day and live through more miles traveled challenges. So thankfully, the auction space, which you guys probably on this phone, visit a lot of, procure vehicles, or actually liquidate your inventory through. We actually bought a business called Blue Driver, which is a small dongle device that's actually the most widely used inside of the auction space today for condition reports. So condition reports in the past, when I bought vehicles as I'll call it an analog dealership, we were buying vehicles based on a 5.0 condition report scale that had nothing to do with the electronic components of the vehicle and the health thereof, those electronic components. What we realized is diagnostic events started to lead to repair events. Therefore, we acquired Mobile Tech RX and AMT, which are the leading solutions or software solutions for sublet repairs. And you guys probably use sublet repairs often. You use vehicle upfitters as commercial vehicle dealers and category leaders that are probably listening to this. But then furthermore, you use sublet vendors for things like paintless dent repair. You use it for paint and touch up. You use it for wheel repair. A lot of times dealerships and fleets don't have those type of repairers on their payroll because they're not happening each and every day. So that software is used by about 17,000 companies every single day. And what we realized, if you fast forward to today and you look at how we diversified the company, we started to realize not only do we have leading edge software tools, I've skipped over our inspection network. That's quite impressive too, which leads to more repairs. But we started to realize we have a two-sided marketplace, and that is what we call repair on demand today. And a lot of my future challenge and case study is going to be built explaining how we build a two-sided marketplace, a business to business marketplace, connecting the underserved repair jobs to the willing and able repairers that are out there ready to execute on those. And I'll tell you in the next slide how those products sit together. So if we start to parse these into really two categories, like jobs or job side repair jobs, they're either underserved or being sent to the repairs today. And then you have repair tools. Let's start with repair tools. That's a lot easier to explain. Like I said earlier, our two mobile or native software solutions are Recon Pro and Mobile Tech RX. Mobile Tech RX would be a great example of a small business solution where I could start a company with one of you on the phone today, and we could have, Tony and Bob's Dents, and we have one technician, and we could be in business today. We could be estimating work, we could be invoicing work, even sending all of our transactions into QuickBooks and NetSuite, what have you. Recon Pro, on the other hand, and by the way, the persona or description I give of Mobile Tech RX is we have thousands of companies, but an average user count per company of about 3 users. Moving over to Recon Pro, that is definitely more of your, I'll call it your enterprise level solution. 100 technicians or more that you actually have in your, in your business. Great companies, great customers of ours, like All Pro Reconditioning or Dent Wizard, use our Recon Pro software every single day to take care of their customers. But then you flip over to the job side, on the repair side, you start to think about all of these events that are being diagnosed through our Blue Driver tools at the auctions. They'll soon be used in a lot of trade-in applications you'll see in the franchise dealerships. You have one guard inspectors that are going out and actually inspecting things like arbitrations at the auctions. They're inspecting warranty events for some of the major third-party warranty companies like JM&A and Zurich and others, great companies. And then last but not least, we have workflow software that dealers and auctions can use to send the work out to Recon Pro users and Mobile Tech RX and actually track things like turn time and obviously the exceptions that are out there when you're repairing something. You have to repaint a bumper, or you have to fix some glass and get an exception back and forth from the repair to the actual person that needs something repaired or that end customer. Next slide, please. So just to reiterate, when we pulled all these software users together, it was amazing to see how many users we had, where they all sat. They're literally across North America. We actually even have some users in Europe today, and we have this on-demand platform where we actually can see when our users, have time to do work and when they don't have time to do work. Furthermore, we can actually see, where they just estimated some work and also understood that they were right next door to a customer that actually needed some work done. And that, could be a wheel repair person pulling into a collision shop. Meanwhile, there's a franchise dealership right next door that needs a wheel repair person. And so we're excited that, this is in its, I would say it's in its third inning of a 9 inning ball game. And we're excited to see how we start to automate, one-off jobs versus today we do a lot of domiciled inventory, what I would call a mobile person actually stops by and actually does three or more cars. But a lot of the one-off stuff will be solved in the innings 4 through 9. So next slide. This is what we're really proud of. Just to reiterate the amount of work that is going through what we call our repair exchange. And so $1.73 billion worth of invoiced work is actually going through our software. I guess last year, 11 months of last year. And you look at the job side, the sources, right? Those are dealers and auctions. Um, and they come from obviously inspections that we do as well. And what is really interesting about the job side is we did an exercise um, with Work Truck Solutions, and we actually took a lot of our VINs, 8.6 million of them actually, and started to understand about 25% of our 8.6 million VINs were actually on commercial vehicles versus consumer vehicles or what have you, or direct to retail. And you see here all of these specialized, what we call sublet repairs. It could be everything from diagnostics and calibrations all the way down to aftermarket accessories and upfitting. Today, a lot of the upfitting, I'm sure, is done through a relationship, but a lot of times there's upfitting that needs to be done that we may need to utilize something like this to connect the dots in the commercial space. And that solution may be coming in the future. Um, Next slide, please. Today, we cover the full repair spectrum. I would tell you that we have a lot of concentration in cosmetic. If you look down here at the bottom end of the spectrum, merchandising and photos, that's kind of like what I could do. Um, I know how to actually probably clean up my vehicle and list it on a classified website. Meanwhile, on the other end of the proficiency spectrum, you have these amazing technicians that are like astronauts. Some of them know more about vehicles than they do their own families. And in the middle here, what you're starting to see is this proficiency gap, and you're starting to see this with the mechanically inclined or technician shortage that's out there. And we're trying to bridge that gap at Repairify today. We're finding that if you go from a glass repair person to something like mechanical and maintenance, that proficiency gap is wide because glass takes a long time to learn. So there's some of the mechanical aspects of vehicles, but we're starting to see a lot more. I'll call it safety sensors, a lot more solutions that are starting to be embedded and a lot of them were the components of the vehicle. It could be in the front bumper, it could be in the windshield, it could be in the side panels like sonars, radars, lidars, and obviously your forward facing and rear facing cameras. All of those technologies need to be calibrated after there's a cosmetic event. So you start to think about the challenges of the industry where sensor calibration is another thing that you guys should be very, very aware of. And it's really a two-sided opportunity, I'll call it. There are two types of sensors in the market. There's static sensors, and then there's dynamic sensors from a calibration standpoint. your dynamic sensors are basically I would call a people opportunity, where you can basically plug in a Aztec or plug in a OEM tool and simply drive the vehicle around on a nice day, like it is here in Texas, and the actual sensor will self-learn or self-calibrate itself, and you'll get a confirmation through the tool. Then static is more of a real estate challenge. It's basically you need to put up a static target in order for that camera or that radar, in order for it to actually have that point of reference at a certain distance and get calibrated. Next slide. If you can think about the benefits of this two-sided marketplace, and I'm going to get to how this we should really be thinking about commercial vehicles, but I want to reiterate the benefits here real quick. Um, Today, a lot of times you still have people with repair jobs that are still writing in wax pencil on the windshields. They are using very manual processes, and meanwhile, they're carrying a technological device, probably a phone, or they're on a laptop all day or on a desktop. And meanwhile, the repairers are obviously carrying around technology in their hands. So what we've done is try to eliminate a lot of the manual processes and eliminate paper. Furthermore, we've actually tried to integrate into systems like even Car Global is an example we have in here, where we actually have integrated our technology into the back end of theirs. So you don't, I guess they're called open lane now, but at the end of the day, they don't even feel like they're even logging into our tool to send jobs or inspections or diagnostic activity um, anywhere, because we actually live in the back end of their system. So you start to think about anything that is futurish. You want to always think about what your customer or what the industry is doing as the norm. And if you can exist in the background without creating yet another behavior, or as we call it, a swivel chair to another system, you're going to be just that much more successful, in my opinion. We've streamlined a lot of the approval processes, and we've eliminated on the repair side a lot of what I would call we call it double billing or ghost billing, where you do a bunch of vehicles, and the next thing you know, the repair maybe messes up and sends you two bills for one car they didn't do, or the wrong bill on the wrong car. So we're starting to see a lot of opportunity there with the consolidation of invoicing. The same benefit exists on the other side of the equation with the repair. The repairer used to carry around a notepad or what have you in order to actually track the vehicles that he did and actually write up the vehicles he did. Some of them are using like 5-ply forms and the like. We also, through, as we go from what we talked about earlier in the third inning to the ninth inning, we want to be able to provide a constant stream of work to these repairers, and obviously not provide them too much work to where they're overwhelmed and underserve the job side repair market. At the end of the day, if we can figure out a way to also help them with getting paid. That is a challenge in our industry, to say the least. Whether it could be a dealership with their payment times, or auctions that usually are paying these repairers at a net 60. Some of these are very small businesses, so we actually have created what we call a fast pay, where you can basically get paid that same day or within 5 days for a slight discount on your repair job invoice. Next slide. This is where I want to spend some real time. Is I want to try to use this case study to challenge each and every one of you to apply a futurish mindset to commercial vehicles. Um, you know, you already probably have a great partner in whether it's Work Truck Solutions or otherwise, where you're putting your vehicles up for sale and you're connecting those vehicles and to those customers and to the upfitters. You probably have the best partner, and I won't reiterate that too much. If you start to think about a deeper relationship with your commercial customer, start to think about what else they purchase alongside of the vehicle and the accessories that you help them outfit the vehicle with. You start to think about who do they do business with from a roadside standpoint? Do they do business with a Gero? Who do they do business with? Furthermore, what telematics technology they're using? Are they using a geotab? Are they using some other cutting edge solution that actually is partnered with the OEM? There are a multitude of folks that are out there using telematics for different things. Some people think it's just, well, it's just route management or it's just for safety features. It's really just trying to understand if the driver behavior, are being irresponsible with the vehicle. There are a number of telematics solutions out there that are for different use cases. And you really should get familiar with what your customer is using. Furthermore, if they have a network of shops besides you, if you're a commercial truck dealer, chances are you're a franchise dealer and they're bringing their warranty work back to you. But where are they taking the rest of the work? Are they doing it themselves? Do they have their own shop? What's their shop look like? How big's the bays? How big's the, how much time are you spending with your customer to understand, are they insourcing this? Are they outsourcing it? And if you think about the outsource market, we're starting to see a ton of these mobile repair companies pop up everywhere and really good ones too. And some of them are utilizing our software. That's how we see them pop up. But if you're not utilizing some of these mobile repair networks, I think you all just saw RepairSmith be acquired by AutoNation, and they're starting to think about how mobile repair can take better care of their customers and possibly some of their fleet customers. So start thinking about the mobile repair networks that are in your preferred market area or what have you, because some of them are becoming a really special because they fill a lot of their work with, uh, you know, collision shops. They'll fill a lot of their work with auctions, but I think they could be a great partner to you or an extension of your business after you're selling one of those commercial vehicles to a commercial customer. Um, Connectivity to other ancillary vendors. Like, think about, you want to be that solution, in my opinion, that yes, they may have bought a vehicle from you and you're that number one phone call they make to sell the vehicle, but you also want to be that resource during the life cycle of the vehicle where they're having trouble with, glass repairs, they're having problems with, this accessory or that accessory. You need to be that resource for them if you're not already. And you start to think about the end of life, or basically these life events of the vehicle in this third section. um, I find that, if you're not connected and understanding what they're using for telematics and roadside, you're probably not understanding, like, first notice of loss, or basically understanding when they damage the vehicle and why they damaged the vehicle, especially if you don't have a body shop associated with your dealership. Um, do you have a solution for total loss replacement? Are you the first phone call they make? Um, or are they, basically calling you 3 weeks afterwards saying, hey, I forgot we actually lost this unit and I gonna get this replaced immediately? What are you doing proactively as it relates to replacing a lost vehicle in their fleet? And I've been working on this with uh, the folks over at Work Truck Solutions. I think there's a huge need for vehicle trade-ins. So you start to think about these vehicles that age in the fleet. A lot of times you leave it up to the customer for them to actually find their own way to get, top dollar or maybe a dollar for that vehicle that is essentially died in their fleet. I think there's a big opportunity there, and I think it's coming to the market here in the near future. Um, I would also challenge you guys to start thinking about the depreciation of these vehicles. If you actually understood, how they were driving this vehicle, or you had some, like, check-ins maybe with their telematics system, you could start to think about figuring ways to actually pull them forward into another vehicle. I know that we actually, do this as a franchise dealer today with consumers. We inundate them, at least before chip shortages and before the pandemic. We would inundate them with direct mail and automated phone calls, and we would want to try to pull that customer that was in equity in their vehicle into another vehicle. Well, what are we doing as as a commercial industry to do the same thing? A lot of you obviously can attribute what you sold to a customer. You know the vehicle you sold them to. You know the vehicle you sold them. You know the accessories that are on that vehicle. But are you tracking how long they've had it? Are you tracking how much their business is growing? Are you tracking any of that to where you can start to pull them forward into more sales? And so when I think about applying the futurist mindset that I went through at Repairify to the commercial vehicle space, this is how I'm starting to think about it. And I hope you do too. Next slide. And I want to say just thank you again to the folks, Aaron and Catherine, for having me on today at Work Truck Solutions. Really think they're an amazing company and really love this commercial vehicle space. And I think it's going to grow exponentially faster than what you see the consumer space going through some challenges right now. The commercial space is a great spot to be in, and if you're not deeply invested, you should be.